We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Glory UGA podcast, brought to you by our good friends at MyBookie. Guys, they got a great promo deal going on right now. So if you are of the betting persuasion, go to mybookie.ag right now, sign up for a new account. That'll take about 60 seconds. Use our promo code UGA when you do so, and your first bet is going to be fully covered all the way up to $500. Guys, that's an incredible deal. Jump on it while you can. But today on the show, I'm going to be breaking down Georgia's 35-14 win over Kentucky here in the Classic City yesterday with my top 10 takeaways from that bounce back win over the Wildcats. First off, guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you checking out this video. And while you're at it, if you are a diehard Georgia fan, we got a ton of great content coming your way the rest of this season and beyond. So subscribe right now, turn those notifications on so you don't miss any of those videos. Like, comment, guys. That is a huge help as I continue to grow this channel. So thank you guys for all of your support. All right, yesterday here in Athens was exactly what we needed after that loss to Alabama, that heartbreaking loss to Alabama a week ago. A convincing win over an inferior opponent. As I told you guys last week in the lead up to that Kentucky game, guys, Kentucky, let's not make this out to be anything than what it is. That is the worst team in the SEC. They were the worst team statistically coming in the SEC. If you watch them play, the eye test also tells you they are the worst team in the SEC. So going out and taking care of business against an opponent like that, that's a good sign. That's what you want to see from a Georgia team after that loss to Alabama. There was no hangover. That's always the worry. Like when I was doing the preview of the Kentucky game last week, that was my one big concern. Like, okay, how do we respond to that loss to Alabama? Will there be a hangover effect? Do we come out sleepwalking against a really bad Kentucky team with a noon kickoff? And we didn't. We came in and we took care of business from the jump. We actually got off to a fast start for once. Like, I know, novel concept. It's actually allowed for Georgia to do that. We are allowed to get off the fast starts. We are allowed to score on our first drive. We are allowed to not let our opponent score on their first drive. It's great to actually see that for once in an SEC game. And the final score, I know 35-14, doesn't seem like a massive blowout, but as all of you watch the game know, that the final score is not really indicative of how much Georgia dominated that game, how thoroughly the Dogs beat that Kentucky team. And guys, after going up 35-7 with 4 minutes and 23 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Georgia's starting unit did not see another snap. That game could have been 49-7 if we wanted it to be, if not worse than that. But Kirby has a lot of respect for Mark Stoops. They're I don't want to say tight, but they have a lot of mutual respect there. So he's not going to go run the score up when the game's in hand like that. And hey, you know, for a team that's young and growing and trying to develop and get better as the season goes on, it's awesome when you have this game in the bag to allow those third and fourth string guys that you're trying to get to speed. Maybe they can help you later in the year. It's great to give them opportunities to play real meaningful minutes against an SEC opponent. So it's great to have that chance. So it could have been 49-7, but 35-14 it was. And at this point, I took the game in person here in Athens inside Symphony Stadium yesterday. And now I've run through my first rewatch. I'm still waiting on the All-22 tape. The guy I get the All-22 tape from a week ago, it was hurricane stuff that he was dealing with. This week, he's moving. So I hope to get that tomorrow and dive into that and have some more thoughts for you guys later in the week. But still waiting on the All-22 tape, but I have watched the TV copy. And with that, I have now distilled my thoughts on this game down to my top 10 takeaways from this win over Kentucky. That's how we're going to approach this recap today. And let's start off with this, guys. What I'm going to start with here has nothing to do with the X's and O's. Everything else will. We'll get to that stuff, guys. That's what I love to talk about. But I think this is important too. So my first big takeaway, maybe a big picture takeaway from this win over Kentucky, is that this performance, this, I think, dominant performance, I know the final score might not say that, but that's really what it was if you watched it. This performance against Kentucky, to me, is reflective, yes, of a talent gap, of course, but more than that, deeper than that, it's also reflective of the strong leadership that we have from the head coach, from the coaching staff, but also from the players. That's one thing that we've always had under Kirby, guys. Kirby, he is an incredible leader himself, but he does an awesome job. One of the underreported aspects of what he does at Georgia is cultivating leadership. And year in and year out, like, I'm not saying every team has the same type of leadership we have that we've had in the best years, but consistently have really strong player leadership. Like Jalen Walker was a really good example of that a year ago. And when you experience a tough loss, a heartbreaking loss, like guys, my heart, I'm still trying to pick up the pieces from that loss to Alabama a week ago. I'm getting better. The win over Kentucky helps, right? We're moving on. We have the rest of the season left, but for a fan, it's tough. For a diehard like me, for diehards like you, that's tough. But imagine the players who put the time in, right? The coach staff who put the hours in, put in like 100-hour weeks, man. That's heartbreaking, right? Like, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when, like, I want to give credit to Alabama. They played better than us. They played a much cleaner game for the second year in a row, really the third year in a row. But a lot of what ended up costing us that game last week was us. Like, we just made mistakes, and that's a hard pill to swallow. So there's two ways this could have gone. It could have gone the way that it went, which, yes, that's what we wanted it to happen. But it could have gone a very different way, where you come into this game just still reeling from that loss to Alabama, the heartbreaking way you lose that football game, the frustrating way that you lose that football game, and you let that linger. You have a hangover, and you let yourself get beat twice by the same team, right? It could have gone that way, right? Especially a noon start, early start, sleepy, right? You could have been sleepwalking. The fans could have been tired. Hey, I'll give the fans credit. Fans showed up. Block Greek seating, not great, but as is always the case for noon games. But everyone else showed up, was loud, not as loud and raucous as the Alabama game, but still a really good noon crowd. So great showing by the Georgia fan base there. But it could have gone that way, where we just slept all through that game, and that game was either closer than it should have been, or maybe some way, somehow Kentucky could have like pulled a shocker there. And if you don't think that's possible, don't take this for granted, guys. Do not take the leadership for granted. Do not take our ability to come out swinging after a tough loss, that the way that we experienced that loss against Alabama a week ago. Just ask Penn State, guys. That's all you have to do. Just ask Penn State how easy it is to fall victim to a hangover after a heartbreaking loss in a big matchup, the way they fell in overtime to Oregon last week. Just ask Clemson after that Georgia Tech loss. Not as big of a game, but you lose that game and you come home and you let that beat you twice. You have all the noise around you, then you lose to Syracuse the following week. Penn State, you lose to Oregon. Okay, that's respectable. Oregon's good, but it's a heartbreaking loss. The way that you kind of let that slip through your fingers, and then you go on the road and you lose to a winless UCLA team. I know it's not apples to apples because they're on the road, Georgia's at home, but it's the same concept, guys. It could have gone that way. The way it went for Penn State, the way it went for Clemson. What's the difference? I believe it's leadership, guys. Penn State's clearly more talented than UCLA. Clemson's infinitely more talented than that Syracuse football team. Both those teams lost those games after heartbreaking, frustrating late losses, right? Because they couldn't pick up the pieces. We could have gone that way, but we had a different kind of leadership, right? Starts with Kirby Smart, the way he cultivates player leaders. Again, don't take that for granted. I think our leadership is top 1% in the country. And guys, we're not going to win every game, all right? We are not. In this day and age of college football, we're in a very different era of college football. But with our leadership still what it is, in my opinion, top 1% in the country, we are not going to let a loss linger. We're going to lose games. When's the last time we lost back-to-back games? Back-to-back SEC. I think back-to-back games was 2017. Back-to-back SEC games was 2016. I think Kirby's first year, right? So it's been a minute. That doesn't happen by accident, right? We're going to lose games. It happens in this age of parity in college football. But one thing that is very clear throughout the entire tenure of Kirby Smart, after we lose games, we're going to respond. We're going to continue to get better. We're going to continue fighting. We're going to continue working. We're going to come out swinging after a loss. And I don't discount that, guys. I think that absolutely matters in this age of enhanced parity in college football. So I wanted to start there, big picture, but now let's get into more of the X's and O's here. All right, number 2, my second big takeaway. At this point, guys, I think now 5 games this season, it's hard to believe we are almost halfway through the regular season, man. We wait all year for it to get here, and it just goes by in a flash, man. But 5 games in the season, I think it's clear what this Georgia team does well and what we do not do well right now. Now, I got 2 things that we do well. Number 1, this is going to be my second big takeaway here. We run the football. Really what we do, guys, there's 2 things we do well. We run the football well and we stop the run well. All right, let's dive into this running the football well. If I had to pick 2 areas to excel in, all right, let's look at both these areas. If I, as a Georgia fan or an observer of college football, whoever your team is, if there are two areas, if you get to pick two areas you want your team to be strong in, for me personally, and maybe I'm old school, I would still pick being able to run the football and stopping the run. Those are the foremost areas I would want my team to be strong in. Why? Well, if you can stop the run, you get teams in third and long, and you any kind of offense, you want to be in third and long, right? Because now you're predictable. You can pin your ears back and rush the passer. If you can run the football, you can stay out of those situations, right? You can grind teams down. You can control the clock, limit possessions, limit scores, limit how many points you actually have to put up on the board. So those are the two areas. If I had to pick two, those are the two that I would pick my team, which of course is Georgia, to be strongest in. And that just so happens to be where this Georgia team is the strongest in 2025. Guys, we are fringe top 25 nationally in rushing offense. We're averaging 205 yards a game right now. Guys, and it's not just like we're putting up big yards against like baby seal opponents, like these cupcakes. You see that relatively early in the year. Some teams just they'll run for 300, 400 yards against let's say East Tennessee State, right? Well, that's not really what's happening here. Like, yeah, we ran well against Austin Peay and Marshall, but we're averaging 200 yards rushing a game against SEC opponents. And guys, we haven't, like, okay, Kentucky's terrible. They're awful. Like, it is what it is. But Bama's not terrible. Tennessee's not terrible. Those are two teams that we played in the SEC as well. So our three games, Kentucky, Bama, Tennessee, two of them are pretty good, right? One, not so good. But we're averaging 200 yards rushing a game in those SEC games. Not always explosive. And coming out of the bye week, when I did an episode during that bye week, trying to identify the areas I felt Georgia needed to improve moving forward, one of the areas that I looked at was we need to be more explosive running the ball. Like, we're doing a good job running for 4, 5, 6 yards here and there on a pretty consistent basis, but we're not biting up the chunk yards. And coming out of the bye week against Bama, we were biting off chunk yards. Chauncey Bowen's doing a great job there. And we hit some explosive plays, a couple of explosive plays in work. I think Gunner had a 19-yard run. Chauncey had a 19-yard run. We did not have one of 20 or more yards. So, but we're doing a better job of making people miss in space and biting off those chunk yards on the ground, more so than we were earlier in the year. But we haven't always been explosive. We are averaging under 5 yards a rush. But what we are doing is we are consistently moving the chains with the run game. We are consistently staying out of third and long, out of those third and predictable situations. And we did so again on Saturday against Kentucky. No, we were not as explosive on the ground yesterday as we were against Alabama a week ago. But what we did, again, was we ran it consistently well enough to stay ahead of the chains. Guys, there are only 3 plays. 3 plays where we are in 3rd and 6 or more with our starting unit on Saturday against Kentucky. That's huge when you have the issues that we have in the offensive line, guys. The mass unit we have in the offensive line right now, all the injuries we have, and some of the issues we've had protecting from the edges, that's big time to keep them out of those situations where the defense can just pin their ears back and get after the passer. It makes us less predictable. When you're in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, you have the entire playbook at your disposal. When you're in 3rd and 1, you can take a shot down the field, which we did on one of those plays. And if you don't convert, then you can run the football on a quarterback sneak on 4th and 1 and get the first down, right? But if you're in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, you don't have those opportunities. You don't have the whole playbook open to you on that play. You're predictable. Because there's only so many plays that you have for 3rd and 10, right? And defenses know that. They pin their ears back. They know you're going to run the football, and they just get after you. And that's tough for our offensive line with some of the issues that we've had on the edges, especially now with we got 2 true freshmen starting on the right side of the offensive line right now, guys. So being able to run the football has been huge for this team. It was huge for us on Saturday. That was a big part of how we got out to that fast start and to help protect that young offensive line that can be vulnerable in pass pro at times. So great to see us, again, be able to run the football. So number 3 here, my third big takeaway, let's kind of build off that. The other thing that we do really well, along with running the football, is we stop the run. Right now, guys, we're giving up 82 rushing yards per game. And again, it's just like with the way we run the ball. It's not just against the baby seals, the cupcakes. We are stopping the run against everyone that we play, relatively speaking. We are only giving up 3.05 yards per rush against SEC competition. Let me put that into perspective for you. There is not one other team in the SEC that has played multiple conference games that is averaging less yards per rush allowed against SEC teams. I think Missouri has only played one conference game. If I remember correctly, they played South Carolina. They held South Carolina to -9 yards rushing because they sacked Lenore Sellers, I think, 38 times in that game. And so the sack yards killed the rushing totals. But I'm not going to count that because that's one game. It's a very small sample size. We played 3 conference games, 2 of them good football teams, right? And we are allowing only 3.05 yards per rush. No team in the SEC playing multiple conference games is better against the run on a yards per rush basis. Now, as I said coming into the game last week, previewing it for you guys, Kentucky's terrible in offense. They do not do much well offensively. But the one thing they do well, as we talked about last week, is they run the football fairly well. They were averaging 188 yards per game on the ground coming into yesterday's game. And Seth McGowan, guys, I know he didn't tear us up, thank God. But I think you saw in the first quarter on some of those runs, that guy's legit. Like, he's a really good running back. Coming into this game, was coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. I really do believe that guy has an NFL future. I don't know if he's going to be a feature NFL back, but I think he's an NFL-type running back. And we limited him to 44 yards and a long of 7 yards. That was our longest run of the day, guys. 7 yards. That was the first quarter. And then we completely shut them down from that point. On the day, we held Kentucky as a team to 22 rushes for 45 yards. 2 yards a rush. Again, that's what they do well. And it wasn't like you go back to a week ago. If you watch Kentucky and South Carolina, as I did kind of getting ready to preview that the Kentucky game for you guys, South Carolina, yeah, the rushing totals didn't end up being great for Kentucky. I think they ended up running for 108 total yards. But McGowan had 113 yards rushing himself. The issue for Kentucky is they got sacked 6 times by South Carolina. And some of them were big sacks, like 10, 15-yard losses, because Bowley's just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And that killed the rushing totals. But that wasn't the case. We only had 2 sacks on the day, guys. And one of them wasn't really a sack. It goes down as a sack, but it was a 1-yard loss. So it wasn't like we were just racking up a ton of sacks and the sack yardage taking off the rushing total. No, we just stoned their run game, which no one has really been able to do against this Kentucky team all year long. So if we continue to do those 2 things, run the ball well and stop the run, we're not there yet, guys, as a team. We clearly have a lot to improve on, but so does pretty much everybody else out there, guys. Like Texas goes to Florida, it really wasn't even close until I guess the very end. Manny makes a couple plays late in the game. Penn State goes and loses to UCLA. Like, who is a finished product right now out there in the country? I don't know if that team exists. I really don't, right? So if we can continue to run the ball well and stop the run, and we keep getting better the way that we always do under Kirby Smart, we're going to give ourselves a shot. We're going to give ourselves a shot to be in title contention come December and January. We're going to give ourselves a shot. And there's no guarantees. Like, we got to get better, no doubt. But if we can do those 2 things well, man, that's something a lot of teams don't do. A lot of teams do not run the ball well. A lot of teams don't stop the run well. If we do those 2 things, we're going to give ourselves a shot. Right now, we are doing that as well as about anybody in the country. All right, moving on here. So that's what we do well. I want to start there, right? Let's start with the positive vibes. But while it is clear what we do well, it's also clear at this point, 5 games of the year, what we do not do well. And it's the twin deficiencies of A, rushing the passer, and B, defending the pass. That has been those have been the 2 issues for this Georgia football team through the first 5 games of the year. Now, we did rack up 2 sacks in this game, ostensibly, but again, one was barely a sack. It was C.J. Allen. If you go back and watch the play, guys, basically Bowley had like 8 seconds, and CJ wasn't really blitzing. He was kind of spying or playing. Really wasn't even spying. He was playing a zone. And then Bowley broke the pocket, and then CJ's like, all right, I'm going after this guy. And he gets him down the ground 1 yard behind line of scrimmage. So it goes down as a sack, but not a sack in the truest sense of the term, right? Not the kind of sacks that we're looking for. And then late in the game, nose tackle, Nnamdi Ogboko, an unlikely sack guy, got some push up the middle late in the game and was able to grab the quarterback and get him down on the ground. So those were our 2 sacks. But again, neither of our sacks came from an edge rushing position. We continue to be essentially incapable of rushing the passer, of generating a pass rush from the edge, especially a natural pass rush where we're not having to bring pressure and trying to manufacture pressure by bringing extra bodies. And at first, early in the year, when you're playing teams like Austin Peay and Marshall, where they're getting the ball in their hands quickly, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if we can rush the passer because we haven't really had opportunities. And then Tennessee, they do a lot of max protect and keeping 7, 8 guys in at times to protect the quarterback because we just ate them alive with our pass rush the past couple years. They weren't going to let that happen. It was one of the adjustments they made in that game this year against us offensively. And then that game, you're like, okay, well, I still don't know if we can rush the passer because, we're bringing 5 guys. They got 7, 8 guys in the block. We're not going to be able to get after the passer. So I wasn't sure. And you come to the Alabama game, and I'm like, all right, these two tackles for Bama aren't very good. Like, they got eaten alive by Florida State. if we got any kind of pass rush, this is the game that's going to show up. And as we all saw last week, it definitely did not show up. I think probably the biggest reason why we lost that game. I know you can pick out individual plays, fumbles, and not making it on 4th and 1, as we talked about all last week. But if you want to look like an issue for us, not being able to rush the passer, giving Ty Simpson all freaking day, converting all those 3rd downs, so there's just no one in his face. Ty Simpson's elite when there's no pressure in his face. When he's got a clean pocket, when he's got pressure and the pocket dirties, all of a sudden he's not elite, right? Well, we couldn't dirty the pocket, all right? That was a problem, right? And it's obvious, man. Like, so at one point in the year, 2-3 weeks ago, I was like, all right, let's let it play out. Let's let it play out. Let's see what happens. Like, when we actually have a chance to rush the passer. Well, last 2 weeks we've had chances to rush the passer, and it is obvious now that we just cannot do it. We can't. Like, we're incapable right now, man. And I wish we weren't. I wish that wasn't the case. Like, I don't like saying this, man. I wish I was like, yeah, man, like, we're gonna have the passer. That'd be great for Georgia. We might be the best team in the country if we could do that. Can't. We just can't, man. And you look at, okay, why? Because I've been getting a lot of questions, naturally, over the past couple of weeks. Why is this a problem for us? Well, I mean, guys, you go back to last year. We lost our top 7 pass rushers from a year ago. Be that to the NFL draft or the portal. Dave Wilson Jr. Would have loved to keep him on the roster. Is what it is. So we lose our top 7 pass rushers. Okay, well, it's the day and age of the transfer portal, NIL. You lose some guys, the transfer portal take it, the transfer portal will also give it, right? Yeah, not so much this year for us. We just straight up whiffed in the transfer portal at that position, at the jack linebacker position. Ella Madozie, we go out, we bring him in from Army. And guys, he was a highly coveted guy in the portal at that position in the spring portal window. And we got him. Like, he was the top guy at that position in the spring. And we went out and we got him. And we needed him to be that answer for us, losing all the pass rush production that we lost a year ago, including the Buckets Award winner and Jalen freaking Walker, right? That's a tough guy to replace. So we thought he'd be the answer. We hoped he'd be the answer. But clearly he's not. At least right now, I guess things could change. But, man, that dude, Madozie, I would say guess how many snaps he played yesterday? Well, if you guess 5, you'd be correct. 5 snaps. That's how many snaps this guy was supposed to be the answer for us out of the transfer portal to replace all this lost production from the edge position. 5 snaps. That's how many he played. He played 8 against Alabama. Ooh, okay, he played 8. So 13 combined in our last 2 SEC games. All in the year, Ella Madozie has a grand total of 2 tackles and 0 sacks. That should not surprise anybody, right? What about Contavious Johnson, the guy who is a sophomore now? He was a guy who's getting all the reps during the spring. I was hopeful. You hear a lot of good things about him, and I saw him at practice. Like, he looked good, but, it's an isolated setting there. You're not playing real competition, right? Because it's controlled to a degree. G-Day looked fine, but wasn't spectacular out there. And I was hoping at that point, Ella Madozie's going to come in, and he's going to save the day, right? So I thought Contavious Johnson might end up being like a nice, I don't want to say backup, but a nice rotation piece for us. Well, he's got to be the guy right now, because Madozie, he's playing 5 snaps a game right now, 13 over the last 2 games. Well, Contavious Johnson, guys, has 166 snaps that he has played so far this season through 5 games. 166. Anybody want to guess how many sacks Contavious Johnson has this year? Yeah, if you guess 0, you'd be right. 0. Nada. None. No sacks and 166 defensive snaps. I know he's not rushing the passer on every snap, guys. I get that. He has been a really good run defender, which is what allows him to stay on the field. And hey, that's a big part of why we've had success stopping the run. That's important. Like, you need to be able to set the edge. He's done a really good job with that. But he does not need to be on the field on 3rd downs. He's not giving us anything rushing the passer. And he did not see as many snaps on 3rd down in this game. I will say that's good to see, because he's clearly was not giving us anything. But he's our primary jack linebacker right now. 0 sacks, 166 snaps. Gabe Harris, who is like a 5-tech defensive end and jack linebacker. He's trying to fill that Michael Williams role from a year ago. If you remember, Gabe Harris was a jack linebacker by trade coming out of high school. That's what he was recruited as. But we were stacked at that position the past couple of years, so we had him play more 5-tech, and he was a little undersized there. It was harder for him to set the edge against the run. Gave us some good pass rush from the 5-tech. But he couldn't set the edge as much. So what do we need him to do? We're to play the 5-tech more consistently. We need him to gain weight. So he did. He gained a lot of weight. He's up to like 270 plus right now. But that has also cost him a little bit of explosiveness on that step getting off the line. And he's not as explosive a pass rusher as he once was when he first came to Georgia. And Gabe Harris right now again, 5-tech, and Jack linebacker, an edge player for us, who rushes the passer a lot. 169 snaps. 169 snaps on the year. And again, just like Quintavious Johnson, you guessed it, 0 sacks. Not a single one. So let's do the math, guys. I'm not a math guy. Help me out here. So we got 269 or 266. What is that? 335, right? Off the top of my head, not a math guy. The pressure's on here. Over 300 snaps, right? Between those two guys, our primary edge rushers, and they don't have a single sack between them. Not a single sack between them, guys. That's crazy. And you look at our 7 sacks through the first 5 games here, which by itself, 7 sacks in 5 games. What are we doing? 7 sacks in 5 games? 2 of those games was Marshall and Austin Peay in Kentucky, who can't protect the passer to save their freaking life. Just gave up 6 sacks a week ago to South Carolina. 7 sacks in 5 games? All right, well, let's look at those 5 sacks. 3 of them come from Chris Cole. He is the one guy that can rush the passer for us. But the thing is, Chris Cole is not a full-time like Jack linebacker. He's not really a Jack linebacker. He's an inside linebacker. He's an off-the-ball linebacker that we do use off the edge to rush the passer sometimes on 3rd down, but not every 3rd down. Sometimes we drop him into coverage because he's valuable in that role and certainly defending tight ends. So, I mean, he's good. He is a good pass rusher, but he's not a primary, he doesn't play a primary pass rush position for us. We use him in that role sometimes, but not as much as we do like Gabe Harris and Quintavious Johnson. You have C.J. Allen, inside linebacker, 2 sacks. One of them was the one I broke down earlier on Saturday against Kentucky. Yeah, goes down as a sack. It goes down as a sack, but that's not the kind of sacks that we're really looking for, guys. Braylon Wilson has one, and Nabi Boko got one yesterday as well. Those are our 7 sacks, okay? Not a single sack from a true edge player on Georgia's defense. Now, we got some pressure at times on Saturday against Kentucky, primarily from the interior, but it wasn't enough, guys. Like Chris Cole, he got one pressure where he should have sacked Boley, and Boley just kind of sidestepped. Boley's a good athlete, kind of sidestepped him a little bit. And Cole's had a couple where he almost had the sack this year, but just couldn't quite get the guy on the ground. So he's doing a good job. But we didn't consistently pressure Kentucky. And this is a team that can't protect the quarterback, guys. In their 2 SEC games coming into the game yesterday, they gave up 9 sacks. Gave up 6 to South Carolina a week ago. And yeah, I know that Dylan Stewart's really good at South Carolina, but it wasn't all with Dylan Stewart. Like South Carolina was just eating them alive rushing the passer. And, this Boley, who was not their starter to open the season, he doesn't know how to play position right now. Like he doesn't read coverage as well. He doesn't see it well right now. He holds the ball way too long. A number of those sacks last week in South Carolina were on him. They were him just holding the football way too long. And on top of that, guys, we did what we do. We stopped the run really well in this game against a Kentucky team that really runs the ball well, that kind of keeps themselves out of those 3rd and long. But guys, we stopped the run so well, we had them in 3rd and 6 or longer, so obvious passing situations, 12 times in this game. 3rd and 6 or longer, 12 times. We put them in obvious passing situations where we knew they were going to have to drop back and try to push the ball down the field. And even in those obvious passing situations, we can pin our ears back, not worry about the run, and just get after the quarterback, we still could not generate any sort of consistent pressure, just like last week against Alabama. And guys, look, I'm not a reactionary kind of guy. Those of you who've been with me for a long time, you know this. You know this about me. I usually don't allow myself to panic at the first sight of adversity, okay? I need to see it be a trend before I say, oh, it's a full-on problem. Well, guys, it is clearly a trend right now. It is a full-on problem. Sound the alarms. Press the panic buttons, guys. I told you earlier in this season, a couple weeks ago, keep your finger, you can hover over the panic button, but let's not quite press it yet. Press it. Press all the panic buttons everywhere, guys. It is a flat-out problem for us. Like, I don't see any way we win a championship this year, guys, if we can't find a way to rush the passer better. Because the kind of teams you're going to have to beat with the types of quarterbacks and receivers they have, you can't cover these receivers that long. You've got to pressure the quarterback. You've got to force some mistakes. You've got to force him to get the ball out of his hands quickly. You've got to get him on the ground. You've got to force negative situations. Put him behind the chains. Create negative plays. That's what you've got to do, and we can't. We haven't done it. And if we cannot get pressure on Kentucky, I'm honestly, guys, again, I'm not a reactionary guy, but if we can't get pressure on this Kentucky team that I broke down all last week, watched all their tape, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get pressure against anyone in the SEC. Like, I don't think it's fixable. Like, I've had a lot of you reach out and ask, like, how do we fix this? I don't know if it's fixable in this season, guys, because right now it's a personnel issue. We lost all of the production from a year ago, and we didn't replace them. We did not adequately replace those guys. I think the only hope we have for this pass rushing situation to change appreciably is if the freshmen that we have get more of a chance on third downs. I'm talking about guys like Darren Ikening and Isaiah Gibson, like a top 5-star guy, right? Those guys have more pass rush ability than Quintavious Johnson does. And then Gabe Harris does right now, because they're not, I mean, Gabe Harris is 270 plus pounds. Like, he's lost a step. That's just the reality he has. He's a solid pass rusher, but I mean, he just lost a step. He was really good, but it's different kind of, his body's just different right now. So if we start to give those freshmen more of a chance on third down, just get out there and just pin your ears back and rush the passer, like maybe that can help to a degree. But I mean, those guys, they're just not ready to play standard downs. Like they're not ready to stop the run and play like our entire defense right now. But you don't have to. If it's third and long, it's third and obvious, and the team is going to rush the team is going to have to throw the football, just get guys that can pin their ears back and rush the passer on the field. Like it's rip the Band-Aid off, man. Like just break glass in case of emergency. Break it. Break all the glass. Put those guys on the field on third down. Like, because it's a personnel issue. And the only way you fix the personnel issue is you play different players. Because the guys that are out there right now doing it outside of Chris Cole are clearly not the answer. Now, maybe you want to use Justin Williams rushing the passer off the edge on third downs more. Maybe take Gabe Harris off the field on third downs. Or take Quintavious Johnson off the field on third downs. Take both of them off the field, and you have Chris Cole and Justin Williams off the edge. That gives you some explosiveness, some athleticism off the edge. Something to think about. So it's those kind of things. Like, if we want to fix it, like, we have to change personnel. That is the bottom line. That's the only way we fix it. So those guys they're not magically going to we're going to wave the magic wand and poof, now you're better. Now you're a better pass rusher. Now you're more athletic. You're more explosive. It's not how it's going to work. We got to find guys. And I hope maybe they're on the roster. Like, maybe it's those young guys. Maybe we use Justin Williams a little bit more and just change how we're, like, the setup of our personnel on third downs. But what we're doing right now, it ain't working, man. It just simply is not working. All right. So go number 5 here. So our inability to rush the passer has also contributed to, I think, significant issues defending the pass. Right. Those go hand in hand. Right? They're a tandem. Right. Now, Kentucky did not throw all over us, but they did have more success than they probably should have. Right. Boley's terrible, guys. Like, he's just not. He's a good athlete. He looks the part. He's got a good arm. Like, he could be good down the road. He's just not there right now. I mean, he only completed 59% of his passes. Okay. But he did create some explosive plays, and that has been the case against the Georgia defense. We've seen it, right? Now, Alabama did not generate as many explosive plays as Tennessee did, but we've given up too many explosive plays, and it continues to be bust. Like, rarely are we just getting beat, which I guess that's good in the back end, but it doesn't matter. The end result's the same. It's bust. Like, we are busting way too much in the back end, and that's what got us against Tennessee. Not as much against Bama, but there were a few. But it got us getting against Kentucky. That touchdown pass to their tight end in the first half, that was Raylan Wilson just busting. Like, Raylan's gotten a lot better this year, and his eyes have been much better. Like, he's been much more disciplined in knowing where to look and following his keys and not getting fooled. But early in his career, that was a problem for Raylan Wilson. Like, last year, and as a freshman, was a problem for him. And they got him. They got him on that play. So we were playing man coverage. We were playing single high safety, playing man coverage across the board essentially on that play. And he has a tight end, and they run a little play action, and he gets his eyes in the backfield at the running back, takes a false step, hesitates for a second, tight end runs free, touchdown. And he didn't get beat physically, because that tight end's not going to beat him physically. But it doesn't matter if you bust, if you don't play your assignments, if you don't keep your eyes in the right spot. And that got us there. So incredibly poor eye discipline. The other big explosive play they had was a screen pass to Kendrick Law, a guy I highlighted for you last week. But that was an alignment issue on the screen pass. We just didn't have enough bodies over there. And so they threw the screen to Law. He's an explosive athlete. Turned that into a big 30-plus yard gain there. So now, after yesterday, we are now 13th in the SEC in pass yards allowed per game and 12th in yards per attempt. So it is a raw number thing and an efficiency number thing. But in the defense of our secondary, I will say it becomes very difficult to cover when you have no pass rush to work with. Those two things work in tandem. It's really hard to cover 5 to 6 seconds on every single drop back, especially against good receivers. And that's more or less what our DBs are being asked to do right now. Like, the busts have to stop, but it's hard to cover 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds consistently. That's, again, that sack that CJ Allen had, I counted it, guys, 8 seconds. It was an 8 beat. 8 seconds before we got him on the ground. Now, that was a great job by the secondary. Kentucky doesn't have dynamic receivers, so we were able to blanket them for 8 seconds. But against Alabama, we weren't able to do that. Against Ole Miss, were we able to do that? Probably not. Against Auburn, are we going to be able to do that? With their receivers? Probably not. So that, again, works hand in hand there. But those are the two issues, man. If we can figure out a way to correct those two issues, then we might have something. But we got to figure it out, man. We got to figure it out. All right. Sticking with the pass game or the pass defense. My 6th big takeaway here, let's go to DeMello Jones. All right, let's talk about some positive things here. Let's bring the positive vibes back here. I thought DeMello Jones played really well at the end of the Alabama game. He got some run late in that game. I thought he performed really well when he got opportunities. In this game, our coaches clearly thought so too, because they rewarded him. He played more snaps than he has really all year long. He played 39 snaps to Ellis Robinson's 42. Ellis still started, but they essentially split snaps there at that cornerback spot opposite Dalen Everett. And guys, even though Ellis started the game and did get 3 more snaps than DeMello Jones, I know Ellis was the number 2 player in the country coming out of high school a couple years ago, and he's still a really talented player. I still believe in him long term. But right now, I'm not sure that Ellis is better than DeMello Jones. I'm not sure. Ellis is a little bit of a better athlete. Now, DeMello's a really good athlete in his own right. Ellis is a little bit of a better athlete. But what DeMello has shown me, in a smaller sample size, but he has shown me that he plays the ball in the air better and more consistently than Ellis Robinson does. And in a smaller sample size, has been more consistently in position than Ellis has. Now, early in the year, the first couple games against the Cupcakes, there were a couple plays he got beat on, but he's young, he's learning, and he's learned from that. And against SEC competition, I think he's looked really good these past two games. So if he keeps this up, it wouldn't shock me to see him overtake Ellis. And if he continues this trend, moving this direction, I might outright advocate him taking over that spot for Ellis Robinson. And maybe it'll be a rotational thing the rest of the year because they're both talented. You want to keep them both in the roster with Daniel Everett moving on from the team next year because he's gone. And also now Daniel Harris, by the way, guys, has put up a goose egg, 0 snaps for the 2nd consecutive game, even in garbage time. Did not get a snap. The writing is clearly on the wall there. So he's probably gone, right? And if you lose, or you are losing Dalen Everett after this year, well, if you like both Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones, you want them both to stay on the roster next year so they can be your 2 starting cornerbacks next year, right? Well, how do you make sure that happens? You play them both. So it'll probably be a rotation the rest of the year, probably. But if we get in a tight game and we need somebody that we trust out there, right now I think I might trust DeMello a little bit more. So really glad to see him really starting to pick up and become a better player for us and give us some really good snaps out there at cornerback. All right, one more thing in the secondary. Adrian Maddox. So this is a transfer from UAB. He played the 2nd most snaps at the safety position of any of our safeties in that game against Kentucky yesterday. That's interesting to me. I noticed that in the stadium watching the game, 14. Okay, Maddox is out there. Haven't seen him much, right? I looked it up, guys. He did not register a single snap on defense, play some special teams, but not a single snap on defense against Tennessee or Alabama. So our first 2 SEC games didn't play a single snap at safety on defense, not a single snap. In this game, guys, he had the 2nd most snaps of any player, any safety we have, behind obviously KJ Bolden. So more than Ja'Cory Thomas and more than Kyron Jones have been the 2 guys that have played almost all the snaps for us at that position, kind of rotating there at that position opposite KJ Bolden. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've talked about this a couple times throughout the year. I haven't really gone in depth on it, but I have felt all season that safety spot opposite KJ has been a little shaky. I haven't had a ton of confidence in that spot, really because Thomas and Kyron Jones both, they scare me to death in coverage. I don't think they're elite in coverage. They've been pretty good against the run. I like what they've done for the most part against the run, but against the pass, there's just something not quite there. They're not bad. They're just not elite in that regard. And I'm not saying Maddox is, but I do think Maddox is more, because I haven't seen a lot of this guy. I mean, I watched this tape at UAB, liked what I saw there, but you've seen highlights, man. You're not seeing full games, so that's not the same, right? You want to see the full games, maybe break down what he does well and what he doesn't do well. But what I can tell you from what I have seen of Maddox is that he is more physically gifted than Kyron Jones and certainly more than Ja'Cory Thomas. But the problem for him is our defense is tough to learn. He was here for the spring, he was here for the fall, but our defense is tough to learn. Ja'Cory's been here for 4 years, man. Kyron's been here for a while too. So those guys are just further ahead. And playing the safety position, our coaches have to trust you. If they don't trust you, Kirby's not going to put you back there, man. It's just not. They have a guy they trust more. And as long as the talent is like kind of sort of comparable. And so that's why you haven't seen Max and a ton of run early in the year. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it's accidental that all of a sudden he steps in and plays the second most snaps of all of our safeties. Like, that's weird because, again, no snaps, not a single snap in our first two SEC games. Then he's playing like 30 snaps in this game, more than both Kyron Jones and Corey Thomas. That's interesting. That's something to watch. I don't think that means nothing. So just keep that in the back of your mind here. And I think if he keeps coming along and continues to play more with his physical tools, I think that might make us better in the back end. And guys, as I laid out with our pass defense, we need all the help that we can get back there. We need difference makers. And maybe Adrian Maddox is going to be a difference maker for this Georgia secondary. We'll see. We'll see. Just something to watch there. All right, moving on here. My 8th takeaway. Let's go Dillon Bell. He probably should have been much higher on the list, guys. But Dillon Bell, we got to give some love to our guy. Just awesome to see Dillon Bell have a big day for Georgia against Kentucky. 4 catches, 68 yards, 2 carries, 2 touchdowns. And guys, it's been a really slow start for Dillon to open the season. He only had 7 catches for 21 yards total through our first 4 games. Did have that 43-yard run against Alabama, which is great coming out of the half. But before that, only had 2 carries for -7 yards prior to that 43-yard scamper against Alabama. Hey guys, this is why I love Dillon so much, man, and why I'm so happy to see him have success. He's been such a selfless player, man. Coach, you need me to play running back because we're banged up at the running back position? I got you, man. Stick me back there. Hand me the football. I'll do what I can to help this team win. Does that stunt my development as receiver, which is what I probably am long term? Yeah, probably a little bit. But if this is what the team needs me to do, Coach, I'm going to do it, right? Coach, I know we don't have any X receivers because they're all either kicked off the team or suspended, right? I know I'm really more of a Z receiver. That's where I fit best. But if you need me to play X, Coach, I'll play X. You got to love a guy like that, man. You got to love it. And early in the year, again, 7 catches, 21 yards for the first 4 games. How many receivers take that and don't become a cancer, a locker room problem, right? I mean, love George Pickens. But if that was George Pickens, do you think he handles the same way Dillon Bell did? Probably not, right? So when I talk about leadership, Dillon's an example of that, man. It's not about him. It's about the team. And what can he do for the team? So when he has a chance to have a big day like he did yesterday, love it, man. I eat that stuff up. Like, I think the term DGD, damn good dog, is thrown around too much sometimes. It applies to Dillon Bell, man. Like, that is a damn good dog, right? Just doing whatever he can to help this team win. Never a problem. Always, yes, Coach, I'll do what I can. I'll do what you need me to do, what this team needs me to do. So you got to love to have a guy like that have the type of success. And guys, if we get him going, like Dillon, I've always felt this about Dillon. I love Dillon Bell. He's not the most explosive player that we have on offense, but he is a really good, like Swiss Army knife, can do a lot of things for us. So if we can get him going, then we become even more dangerous on offense. Now, we got to be able to protect the quarterback, right? Got to be able to do that. So some of these plays can up down the field. But you got a guy like Colby Young, who I think is a big-time player for us if we can just give him the football. Same thing with Zachariah Branch. We've seen that. If you get Dillon Bell going along with that, we've seen London Humphreys help us out too. The way we run the football, like George becomes even tougher to defend. So not only am I happy for him, I am, but I'm happy for us because that's a good sign. Like we need Dillon Bell as a senior to get going, and he certainly shows signs of that against Kentucky. All right, next up here, Elias Williams, tight end, freshman, true freshman, tight end Elias Williams. A week after a tight end did not register a single reception against Alabama, Elias Williams, true freshman tight end, 5-star player, got his first real run of the season, like real meaningful minutes. He played 15 snaps, and we're talking early in this game, guys. I'm sitting there in my seats, and I look down there on the field, I'm like, 10? That's number 10? Elias? This early? Like, first, second drive? What? Okay, let's go. Do my eyes to see me? Am I seeing things? All right, let's see what we got here. And Elias played, again, 15 snaps in the day. Not as much as Oscar Delp or Lawson Lucky, but 15 snaps is a lot more than 0, right? They've been playing against SEC opponents. He actually ended up second on the team in both receptions and receiving yards in this game. 3 catches, 48 yards. And you have to ask yourself this question. Why now? Why now for Elias Williams? Well, guys, I think it's pretty clear. We know that we need to be more explosive on offense. It's really hard against better teams to grind out 10, 11, 12 play yard drives. Like, we can do it. We run the ball well, but that's harder, right? And there's more that can go wrong in that long of a sequence. So you want to generate explosive plays, right? There's a direct correlation between explosive plays and winning football games. So we want to be more explosive, especially with how we run the football. And we know with how we run the football, we need to make defenses pay for our ability to run the football and how they have to load the box. So guys, watch Alabama and watch Kentucky. Both those teams, guys, are consistently playing a single high safeties, bringing guys in the box. We've got to make teams pay for that. They're giving us opportunities to create explosive plays, but we haven't been able to generate enough of them for a variety of reasons. Quarterback's part of it, protection's part of it, right? But we also need to have as many guys out there as we can at certain positions. And tight end has been one of those spots, guys. Our tight ends, let's just be real. I love Lawson. I love Oscar. It's not me trying to take a shot at them. I'm being real with you. I'm giving you real numbers here, okay? I'm trying to be objective. Our tight ends, through the first 4 games of the year, have just not been doing it for us in the pass game. They've been great blocking. The Oscar and Lawson have been awesome in the blocking, whether it's perimeter blocking game, inline, H-back, done a great job. They've been a big part of our success running the football. They've done a fantastic job there. But in the pass game, they just haven't been there. Lawson right now, guys, through 5 games, has 4 catches for 31 yards. 4 for 31. I had higher expectations for him this year. I never thought he was going to be like a Brock Bowers type guy, but 4 for 31 through 5 games, I would not have had that on my bingo card. Would not have. Oscar Delp had the nice 36-yard catch and run. Hey, he showed a little giddy up in his step, right? On that 36-yard catch and run. That was nice. But before yesterday, had 3 catches for 51 yards through the first 4 games of the season. That's not what we need from the tight end. Like, we need them to block. Yes, they're doing a great job there, but we need more production in the pass game. We need it, guys. We need guys that create matchup problems for defenses. So when they have to, like when we're running the football as well as we do, and the opposing defense has to match that with heavy personnel of their own, we need tight ends that create matchup problems when they bring heavier personnel on the field. Our tight ends to this point, primarily Oscar and Lawson, have not been consistently creating those matchup problems. Elias Williams can. Ethan Barbour could too, which is why he was playing a lot early in the season before he broke his ankle, but he's out, right? Elias Williams is a guy that can create a lot of matchup problems when teams go heavy to match our run game. Like when we go 12 personnel and they have to get heavy, yeah, you try to cover Elias Williams with a linebacker. Good luck. Good luck with that. Let's not forget, guys. Elias Williams basically played receiver at Camden County. We knew he projected long term as a tight end, but he played receiver. He's got those type of pass catching skills, guys. The guy's a freak. He just had to learn how to play tight end and get a little bigger, stronger, become a better inline blocker. Which, hey, the receptions were great. I was more impressed with Elias's blocking. He did some good things out there in the run game, blocking, which that was my concern for him. Like you can't play tight end if you can't block for us. But he did a better job there as well. So I love it, man. So 3 catches for 48 yards, essentially equaled or surpassed what both Lawson and Delp had done through the first 4 games in 1 game. That's what we're talking about, guys. Like we need more explosiveness. We need more playmaking ability in the pass game, and Elias Williams gives you that. He is the most explosive weapon we have at tight end, like bar none, no question. He actually played more than Jaden Riddell. Jaden Riddell played 14 snaps. I think he can help us in the pass game as well, but Elias is different. He played 15 snaps. He's just young and still learning the position, but this was the perfect game to get him in and get him some experience, get him involved against a team like Kentucky where you know you're probably going to win the football game. Get him involved, get him some confidence, just get the nerves out, right? Because I think that Elias Williams can be a difference maker for us, right? With the matchups that he creates against teams when they have to go heavy to stop our run game. So especially when we're trying to create explosive plays off play action, the tight end game, the tight ends haven't been there for us. Elias can change that. Could be a playmaker. Could be a really big development for us as this season progresses. Just keep that in your back pocket. And finally, guys, my last big takeaway here. Speaking of explosiveness offensively, that's what we need to do, guys. We've got to become more explosive in the pass game. And we are slowly but surely making strides towards becoming more explosive. This is the 2nd game in a row, if you put passes and runs together, where we have produced 6 plays of 19 or more yards. And guys, I know you would usually say 20 or more yards, but we had 2 plays. We had 2 running plays against Kentucky that were 19 yards. I mean, 19 yards, 20 yards, like what's the difference there? So I'm going to say 19 or more yards, right? 2 games in a row. We're starting to become a little bit more explosive. And with how we run the football, guys, we have got to be more explosive in the pass game, particularly off of play action. That is the formula for success for this team. I thought it would be coming to the season with Gunner's ability to run the football. I thought we'd run the football better. And honestly, we've run the football better than I even thought that we would. But you've got to pair that with explosiveness off of play action. Go back to 2021. That's the formula we use to win national title, guys. And yeah, we had an elite defense, of course. I mean, like a generational defense. Yes. But offensively, like Stetson in 21 wasn't what Stetson was in 22, where he was like a playmaker, right? Kind of sort of at times in 2021. But we ran the football well. We hit explosive plays off play action. That's what we did in 2021. And that could be the formula for this team as well, right? And against Kentucky and Alabama, both those teams were consistently playing us with single high looks, bringing safeties in the box, trying to stop our run game. And we've got to make teams pay for that. We've got to generate explosive plays off those looks. They're giving us the looks we want. We've got to be able to generate explosive plays off those looks. And Bobo, I know for all the hate he gets, and I know there's a lot of you out there that hate the guy. It is what it is. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I know that I will never be able to. But Bobo keeps dialing up plays down the field, guys, for explosive passing plays. Like he dials them up. But we haven't consistently been hitting them for a variety of reasons. Part of it's been the quarterback early in the year. Gunner has been a work in progress in seeing those plays and being willing to cut them loose, right? But he made strides since Alabama. Missed a few. There were a few shots he should have taken that he came off him a little too quick and left the pocket unnecessarily quicker than he should have and just took off. But he's getting better, all right? He's getting better. Game by game, he's doing that less and less. Now, I still need to watch the All-22 where I can see that better in this Kentucky game. But from what I saw live in the stadium and what I saw on the TV copy rewatch, against Kentucky, it did seem like Gunner took another step, being more willing to cut it loose and take those shots down the field. Maybe a little too willing on that interception where you had a safety in the middle of the field. The middle of the field was closed. And he just didn't see him, man, and tried to hit the seam. Should have thrown to Oscar on the wheel route, on the rail route, but he didn't see the safety there. Maybe a little too willing to cut that loose. Maybe took the coaching a little too well there. But you have to remember, guys, Gunner, 6 career starts. He's not a finished product. He's been in the system for a while, but he basically didn't play football for 3 years, man. That's essentially what happened here. So he's not a finished product, but he's growing. He is improving. Game by game, you're seeing him take steps, right? And the offensive line is the other part of this. They did not give up any sacks in this game, which that's good. All right, I will give them credit for that. It's great that we did not give them any sacks, especially when considering all the injuries that we're dealing with right now at that position. But we're still a little leaky at times. There were those play action shots that we're trying to take time to develop. And a couple of snaps where we did try to take some shots down the field, especially in the first half, the plays were there. Like we had explosive plays ready to hit, like touchdowns down the field. But we couldn't protect long enough. Just a beat short, man. And Gunner had to pull it down. Gunner had to escape the pocket, had to check it down. And again, we're just a mash unit up front right now, guys. Like you see Monroe Freeland go out with an injury. And God, we need him back big time against Auburn. Auburn has some elite edge rushers. We need Monroe back big time for that game. I'm nervous about that. We'll talk about that more as this week goes on. But for the second year in a row, like we're just so banged up on the offensive line. It's a major concern for me heading into the Auburn game. But again, like we didn't give a lot of sacks. We didn't give any sacks. But they're still a little too leaky at times. I know we're dealing with injuries, but that can't be an excuse, guys. Like we've got to get it done. I do think that now that we have Juan Gaston at right tackle, and guys, like right now with Ernest Green is back, like back injuries, man, you don't know what's going on with a back injury. So I am not counting on Ernest Green being back at any point this year. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. With a back injury, I'm just not counting it, man. The guy's already had back surgery once at Georgia. I'm not speculating there. I'm just not expecting him back. And I do think that it's pretty clear right now that Gaston at right tackle, he's our best option there. I think he's a tackle long term. He's playing guard for us. We had Ernest Green there. He was the third-year starter coming into the year. I like what I've seen from Glover. Those guys are getting better and better and better. It still scares me. They're both on the same side of the offensive line together. And sometimes there are some communication issues. But they do a really good job in the run game, and they're getting better at pass pro. Bobo has been really good for us this year. There's one play we tried to dial up a touchdown pass off a play action, and it was him. He got beat off the ball, which that's not been the case much all this year. It was on that play with Freeland going down. I really like Hughley against in pass pro, right? In pass pro, Hughley's been really good, but he's 295, man. Like run game, that's still a little bit of a concern for me there. But bottom line is we need to become more explosive in the pass game, and we're slowly but surely making strides there. My big concern remains. Like, I know people are concerned about Gunner. And, like, I know there's been plenty of plays where he has not pulled the trigger when he needs to pull the trigger. But he's getting better, man. If you really go back and watch it from the beginning of the season where he is now, he's more and more willing to pull the trigger. He's seeing it better and better every game. The offensive line remains the biggest concern for me because there were plays where Gunner was trying to pull the trigger, wanted to pull the trigger. We had touchdowns dialed up, but we didn't protect long enough. And that's been an issue all year long. It was an issue again against Kentucky. And guys, Kentucky don't rush the passer as well as Auburn does. And we're playing on the road at night without the benefit of snap count against Auburn. That's a concern. But we'll save that conversation for another day later this week. But thank you guys so much for being here. That's all I got for you, breaking down this Kentucky game. So big win, great win. I know Kentucky sucks, but it's a really good bounce back win for Georgia coming off that heartbreaking loss to Alabama. We didn't go and lose to UCLA, right? We didn't go and lose to Syracuse like Clemson did. We took care of business, did what we had to do. That's a sign of a team of good leadership, and you love to see that, guys. So big game this week. We'll be all over it this week, so make sure you keep coming back for more. If you are a diehard Georgia fan, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, all those things, guys. Let me know what were your biggest takeaways from this win over Kentucky. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. I'm Tyler, and as always, go Dogs!
Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top.